And we are live. Good morning, crypto warriors, and welcome back to the Gemini of Crypto, episode 886. Today is Friday, February 4th, 2022, and I'm King.
And I'm Bitcoin baby daddy, Zay.
Hey.
To bridge the gap between cryptocurrency and the community, Monday through Friday at 10-ish.
At 10-ish, and today's top stories. Coinbase users can receive U.S. tax refunds in crypto as part of TurboTax deal. South Park destroys Matt Damon's Crypto.com ad in season premiere, and the NFL to offer virtual NFT tickets at Super Bowl in Los Angeles. And last but not least, Yo Gotti in the house with a new song called Crypto. And of course, we will be having a special Fuck Bitcoin Friday, Bitcoin versus Socialism, as one of the critiquers, I guess, I don't even know the word right now. It's too early in the morning for me. Bitcoin Zay's book will be joining us on the show to have a debate of Bitcoin versus socialism. But first and foremost, Bitcoin Zay, what's going on with those prices?
Oh, yeah. So taking a look at our prices for today, Bitcoin is at $38,217, up 4.5% today. Ethereum at $2,844, up 8.7%. Binance Coin at $378, up 3.8%. Cardano at $1.06 is up 2.3%, just changed to 2.5%. Solana at $105, up 8.5% today. XRP at 61 cents, up 2.8%. Terra Luna at $50, up almost 2% today. And last but not least, rounding out our top 10 is Polkadot at $19.43, up 5.5%. And our biggest gainers for today, MetaPay, Bird Token, and the Nico, all making at least 300% today. Oh, yeah. So a lot of movement in the market, a lot of green across the board, but it's well needed after a lot of red the past month.
I just realized I was using my wrong microphone too, so I'm doing some swaps. Tell me if my audio starts to go lower so I can fix this out. I'm doing one more because I'm connecting the sound. How's the audio? Is the audio good? How we listen? How we sounding?
Yeah, it sounds good. It's a little lower, but it's fine.
See, we still got to work on it. Do I just, I'll speak. Oh, you know what? Let me try it. How's the audio now? Check chat. Higher?
Yeah, a little higher. Yeah, you're good.
Let's crank it up more. No, let's crank it up more.
There you go. Yeah, you loud as hell now. Yeah, there we go.
Bro,
nah, you good. That was perfect.
Yeah. Bro, stop playing with me right now. Come on, I'm live.
That was perfect.
Bro, appreciate it. Hey, Alec, we figured it out. I had to do the microphone volume itself. All right, so we're good to go. The reason why I had to adjust the mics, people, because we officially have the Gemini of Crypto. Hold on, let's announce it the right way. We officially have. Can you hear it, Zay? Oh no. Hold on.
Yeah.
I got my stereo. I got too much going on here. You know how my control room is. All right, let's try this again. Can we hear it? Let's see. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Soundboard is active, folks. There we go.
Hey, we got the soundboard, baby.
Let's get this audit. Hey, we got a soundboard, folks. Welcome back to the Gym and the Crypto.
Hey.
Yes. We in here.
What's up?
Friday. We are in here. Say, hey, listen, we got a soundboard. It's about to be lit today. Want to give a quick shout out to Crypto Culture. Shout out. He's been working hard, and that's his shirt, Bitcoin Baby Daddy. His hoodie.
Oh yeah.
There we go. It's looking good. Some shout outs. Finn, what's going on? Wendy Nichols, Donnie Rowe, Kadeem, Fearless Jones, Michael Kennedy, Roberto, Alec G. What's going on? Everybody said make sure the mic's working today. Yep, there we go. Make sure the microphone's working so we're sounding good. All right, let's go ahead really quick. Also want to thank our show sponsor for today. Today's show sponsor, the video will be coming out shortly after the show. As always, we would appreciate if you give it a quick watch and a comment to let other people know if it's a project worth looking into or not. It's a sponsored post, of course, but this is Ritestream, democratizing the creator economy. Ritestream is a platform for the creation and monetization of film and TV NFTs. Again, this video will be premiering shortly after the show today. So if you can do us a favor, like I said, take a quick peek at it and leave a comment for others who may be interested in looking into these projects a little deeper. We appreciate that. All right, other than that, we will be posting that link in the chat for the good professor to call in with the debate. But we do want to jump into some quick stories today as well. Top story of the day. It was funny. We didn't want to report this, but they're doing it, so we have to. Coinbase users can receive U.S. tax refunds in crypto as part of the TurboTax deal. Zay, it's kind of in the title itself, but what's going on here?
Oh, yeah. Well, Coinbase, as they said, they will allow you to send the funds to your Coinbase accounts in fiat or automatically convert it to crypto with no trading fees. So this may seem pretty good for most people whenever they get their tax returns if they want to keep it in crypto. I do think that Coinbase is doing no fees to try and onboard people to using it, and then later the fees will come. Coinbase announced users who filed their tax returns using TurboTax will have the option to receive any returns in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and others supported on the platform. Imagine getting your tax refund in Doge or in Shiba. That's crazy. But Coinbase is allowing that now. And Coinbase applied to both state and federal income taxes. So if you use their calculating platform Coin Tracker, fill out the forms, declare capital gains or losses, and your tax refund can be sent to Coinbase via crypto. So this is much easier for people who use Coinbase regularly, and all-in-one solution for people who when they get tax refunds. And a lot of people, honestly, they're not getting a refund. More like capital losses. More like capital losses, but the infrastructure is there.
Yep, you already know it. Really quick, F your feelings. Thank you for the tip. Says Zay, I like what you're saying. Your facts are coming from a bad place. Jeffrey Robinson. All right. That's from the last FBF. There we go. Yeah, this is crazy, but this is the future, folks. Again, this is what we kind of see happening, which we understand. We're kind of whatever. Hey, listen, you got to feed the beast too. Like, if you don't feed the beast, it's going to eat. You know what I mean? You got to feed the dog. So we get gang. They want their cut. It looks like their cut's going to be coming through exchanges. Fine. If that's the way we're going to do it, I understand. And this makes sense for TurboTax. I assume next year there'll be 2 or 3 new tax companies partnering with different exchanges. You'll start seeing, Crypto.com's partner with this tax person. Gemini's partner with this. Hopefully we don't hear Gemini, but Coinbase is with, of course, TurboTax. BitMEX maybe here. You'll start to see these different ones, but it will still also be interesting to see which platforms still hold out and say, no, we're not, this is not what we're doing. This is not, because this is not fundamentally Bitcoin and cryptocurrency underneath. So that's something we got to point out. So right now I did put the show link in the chat, but that's for the professor to join the weight room right now, guys. It's not for anyone else. So later on, we'll have everyone else able to call in, but for right now, that's just to get the professor set up as well. Shout out to Lakeisha McMillan, said finally caught her live. What's going on? Jake Fever, we're going to be covering it. Yo, Gotti, snitch on dope boys with that Cash App line, but don't sell dope. Oh, and we'll be talking about it. He snitched on, he dry snitched low key. I mean, he tried to give a shout out, but it wasn't dry snitch, I guess, when you look at it that way. Because now people will be like, wait, what's going on? No, just kidding. All right. Other news. We actually talked about this on the show before a bit, folks. And my point to it, so this is South Park destroys Matt Damon's Crypto.com ad season premiere. And that was our thing. When I said, hey, there's people who are literally picking and choosing who to go after, and they're going after influencers, fake influencers or whatever, which I agree with because a lot of them are scam artists, so I'm not mad at it. But also it's like, you can't just go after YouTubers and Twitter people or TikTokers and ignore regulators, politicians, and big advertisers and the big act. Like, come on, like you can't go after the low-hanging fruit. Like, I hate the people who's gonna don't talk smack to the little guy in the room. And then when the big bully comes in, all of a sudden you all polite. Nah, this is your room, right? He just walked into your space. Keep your same energy. So finally, it looks like someone is keeping that same energy, and that's actually South Park. Quote, we just have to be brave, but not too brave, or else Matt Damon will come and take all our money. Said characters on the anime series hinting at the crypto market downturn. Again, I want to point out when we first started doing our sponsors, we were talking about, I'm like, ho, you are not going to come after us on no sponsor when literally Crypto.com, who rebranded from Monaco, is paying Matt Damon to do a Hollywood commercial. It's like, hell to the no. That's the next soundboard we need to get. To me, that sounds like a bunch of hey. That's what it sounds like. Listen, but again, everyone's getting their fair share. It says more than 3 months after its release, the ad from crypto exchange Crypto.com featuring Hollywood star Matt Damon was the subject of ridicule in the latest episode of the animated series South Park. And the first episode of its 25th season, titled Pajama Day, the creators of South Park took on people in the U.S. refusing to wear a mask and once again associate crypto investments with scams. Characters in the show attacked Damon's appearance in a TV spot titled Fortune Favors the Bold, showing the actor speaking about Crypto.com amid a digital landscape of historic figures. Quote, my dad said he listened to Matt Damon and lost all his money. End quote, yes, everyone did. but they were brave in doing so. I love how they put brave in it because that's like the Hollywood keyword right now. We just have to be brave, but not too brave, or else Matt Damon will come take all our money. And of course, it referenced that 2008 popularized meme that we always show here, and it's gone. And that's actually going to be the next sound effect we'll have for soundboard as well. I'm copying that. But this is crazy. What are your thoughts about this? I mean, it's kind of a good thing that, you know, South Park is poking fun at it because more people find out about cryptocurrency. However, again, they're kind of poking fun at Bitcoin being dead again type of deal. What are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, South Park, one of the longest running satire shows of all time. They're going to make fun of everything. So crypto is no different. They also had a whole special on NFTs where they were poking fun as well. I think it's hilarious. And of course, it gives perspective because you can be in this bubble and think that, you know, everything is going great. But then to the outside world, they think there's something wrong. Again, $500 billion wiped off the market cap in January. A lot of stuff is falling 40%. But at the same time, South Park putting it out only gives it more mainstream views. And of course, the media, they're going to take their shots, and we just got to roll with the punches. They've been doing it for the last, 14 years. So it is what it is. Shout out to South Park, though. They do a great job parodying a lot of regular, everyday people trying to get into the space. It's great.
There it is. And we'll come back and cover the last couple of stories. I don't want to keep the good professor waiting. We'll come back to talk about the NFL and their virtual NFT tickets soon. And of course, Yo Gotti's new crypto song. I mean, listen, we were so hyped about that. I was playing it on repeat earlier today when he threw the shout out that, yes, there are some real gangsters in crypto. I was like, I keep trying to tell people. It takes a rapper to come out. No, seriously. We want to give a warm welcome to the show, Dr. Jared Ball. I will let you also introduce yourself, give us a bit of a background, tell us who you are. Of course, again, thanks for being here. We appreciate your time. We also appreciate, of course, healthy discourse. That's why we like having this show, like having people come on, especially if it's some cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, or Bitcoin blockchain discourse. So welcome to the show, everyone. Dr. Jared Ball.
Oh yeah, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it. And since I'm also working with a soundboard, can I add on and help out? Can you all hear that? I give myself an applause.
You're cracking a little bit though. Is he cracking on your end?
My bad. Okay.
Yeah, the sound.
Okay, my bad. I don't want to mess up the quality of your show, but no, is this sound cracking up?
Yeah, this sound's cracking. Not the audio. This sound.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it might be because it's multiple ones. We'll see.
Hold on, let me try. I'll try just changing something here.
No problem. No problem.
I don't want to mess you up.
No, we're all good. I'll go over to the chat section really quick. Okay. Oh, Satoshi
is that better?
That is better. Okay, Satoshi Slim said it's on. It is not before an introduction.
No. So first of all, I appreciate you all having me on. Again, I'm Jared Ball. I'm a professor of Africana and Media Studies at Morgan State University, and I work with Black Power Media, host a show called I Mix What I Like, and have tried to support activist and radical movements for my entire adult life. So that's it.
Where are you from?
Born originally in DC and grew up and was raised where I live now in Howard County, Maryland. In these tree-lined streets, as we like to talk about.
I used to live in Calvert County. I got some friends in Prince George's, and then I lived in Fort Meade as well. So I've been around the DMV a little, Maryland.
Yeah, and I think both of us served in the military. I describe it as serving a sentence in the Navy, but I think you also served. I heard you talk about that as well, right?
Yes, I did. I did serve. My first deployment definitely was a sentence. I'm not gonna lie about that one, but 11 months on the 10 can. But no, thank you for your service as well.
Well. Anyway, it's anyway, but I appreciate being on here. So, so yeah.
So let's get to it. All right. So
sure.
Zay saw a video of a critique of his book. He posted it online. So I watched some of the video myself. I believe it was about 2 hours long, if I'm not mistaken. I saw a few other folks also watched it. Is that about right, the length, or am I off on that?
Maybe. I mean, yeah, sometimes I go a little long. It could have been.
No, I didn't mean that in a bad way, just as far as the length.
No.
Yeah. It was like a week or two ago when I looked at it.
Yeah.
But essentially, can you give us your thoughts on the book, and then I guess your counter and pushback to the book and thoughts there when it comes to minorities and just people in general having and seeking ownership of Bitcoin as a new monetary resolution?
So, I mean, the only reason that I get interested in these discussions is when I see what I think is happening a lot with crypto, and in Brother Jackson's book, this attempt to extend what may be some good things about blockchain technology, or even the potential for certain levels of investment for individuals. And they extend that to being of benefit to the entire collective and the entire community. So essentially what I see happening is that old propagated and encouraged arguments around Black capitalism, entrepreneurialism, all of which have been historically intentionally promoted to Black America as a distraction from what is our only real power, which is political movements, social movements, political power, the assumption of political power. And we're constantly told that we have to get our money right, go through Black capitalist endeavors, entrepreneurial endeavors, and that's the pathway to then getting political power. And I'm just saying that old propagated argument is getting a new branding or rebranding in this crypto space. So with claims of new technology and new currency, old arguments of Black capitalism and white libertarianism are being grafted on to liberation politics. And I think that's a mistake. There is no investment pathway to collective revolutionary change or closing the material inequality gaps that exist between Black and white or any other group, et cetera, and so forth. And then lastly, just as is the case with blockchain, and I do understand the difference between the technology and the currency, is that no technology historically has ever changed social relationships. They exacerbate and intensify them. And in fact, in particular, allow for a consolidation of power. And we're already seeing that happen in the crypto currency space in the blockchain world. So that's essentially my argument, simply put. We need political power and to control the distribution of the wealth we all help create.
First, I gotta be serious. Like, I love having these conversations with intelligent people because I get what you just laid out. Like, I get it. Like, it was super eloquent, and I do kind of see the biggest shifts, which seems you don't even think economic power is the vehicle, at all. It's from, correct me if I'm wrong. Is that right?
I don't think it's, I think that's the intentionally propagated mythology. We can never catch up economically. Wealth is, white people and others didn't accumulate their wealth the way they tell us to accumulate wealth. And they know that. And they know that we can't catch up that way. And that's why we're constantly encouraged that way. And that's why they, of course, set up a system that allows their money to manipulate the political structure, which is supposed to represent the many, because they don't have the many, they have the money. We have the many and can never get the money. So we need to, so that's how I think we need to be approaching the struggle.
So really quick, I'll go ahead, just really quick, I got one more. Yeah. What are your thoughts on because you're in the military, what are your thoughts on the military side of things? So for me, just to give you my perspective, you're right, he's about economic power to get there. However, I think that's secondary to military might. I think no matter how much money you have economically, if you can't defend and protect that money, it doesn't matter. He thinks, no, if you have enough money economically with the rules that we have set in this country, then yes, you can have progression. When it sounds like from you're saying, no, we need political power first. What are your thoughts on the military strength of this argument as well? Does that even factor in, or do you think that's secondary as well?
No, absolutely no. In fact, that's part of the mythology that what gets left out of the discussion of the accumulation of wealth that whites have attained is the military conquest. They keep leaving out the genocide and the enslavement and the imperialism and the military. Fanon and others have talked about, you first wipe people out militarily, and then you come back, follow that up with psychological. And then, of course, the military is used to protect it. And that's in part why I don't think Bitcoin or any other currency will be allowed to supplant any other currency unless it has itself been grafted on to the military and political might of an existing power or state. Because at the end of the day, what backs the dollar is not its value or investment or whatever, it's the military. And we don't have that. The only way we would be able to manipulate the military is achieving political power over the society and over the state, which would then allow us to determine what would be done with the military and including the funding that goes into the military.
Well, I would say that, and this is where Bitcoin, captured me when we first started talking Bitcoin, man, and then even his book, specifically Bitcoin Black America. Because again, my thing, he'll tell you, my thing was like, when he was coming up with the book, I'm like make it for everybody. And he's like, no, like, trust me, this between the title and what we're aiming for and what this book is about. And when I read it, I fully understood it. So my pushback would be, when it comes to political power, I don't think, I get what you're saying, but I think that's if you're playing in a fair market with fair rules. And it sounds to even you yourself, you said that, hey, it hasn't been fair. And because historically for me, I haven't seen it being fair, I don't think it will be fair moving forward. So I do think Bitcoin is a solution, because if you do have that type of economic freedom and power and autonomy, we're talking about literally off the grid, and other people in other countries do business with you. There are people, I mean, I know people moving out of this country to do business. When you have that type of power, now you can actually buy a military. You can actually train people. You do have the resources to fight a war. And not saying you need to fight one, but just the fact that you have resources that can't be confiscated from you gives you a level of autonomy and power that other people have to respect. So I think, coming from that perspective, if you have 10 or 15 people who have $500 billion plus in Bitcoin, that literally that's theirs, I do see them having political power and not having to ask for it. But I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't see that. I don't see that as possible, because even if you have 10 to 15 or 100 people with all that money, how would they would still have, still a political power and policy issue as to whether they could spend that money and have that money, or that impact a military, to have control over that military to do what it wants done. And it also then assumes that the rest of the imperialist world isn't organizing to crush whatever military is being raised by that. So that's why I'm saying well, also what I'm saying is that in addition to the accumulation of any currency, whether it's crypto or otherwise, there has to be some political power that backs that currency, that allows it to be usable and protectable and have an impact in the world. And I don't think even those who have accumulated Bitcoin right now, for instance, the billionaires that mostly have it now, even if they wanted to do something like create an army to go against established power, they would be a long way away from having the ability to turn what they have in crypto into some translatable currency that would be have value to military and arms suppliers, and then to have all of that ration up or scale up to the point without the collective.
Just stop it right there. We wouldn't switch it.
Okay.
We wouldn't switch it. I know Zay's about to jump.
Sure.
We use Bitcoin.
Sorry, go ahead. That's fine.
Everyone
I was just trying
Bitcoin.
to think it through in live time. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Zay.
Oh, yeah, well, I just want to first make the distinction between Bitcoin and crypto. Two separate things. First of all, with crypto, those are tech projects that have a cryptocurrency attached, mostly for speculation. 99%, I think, are garbage. I don't really deal with it as much. With Bitcoin, the reason why it's different is trying to be a money system. As you described before, you believe political power is how you get things done. I would suggest that the only way that things actually get done is economics. That's, I think, where our rift is. So with politics, when you discuss political power, there is no real political power in this country without money. We're all adults here. Politicians that get in office, they are paid by lobbyists, and they get things done for people that give them money. For the most part, that's the national politics in this country. And long term is when we talk about power, especially if we're talking about the Black community. If we just look at a couple of key findings that we've seen so far, is the second most profitable time for Black people was in the late 1800s, post Civil War, Reconstruction, right before the Federal Reserve. The reason why free market capitalism doesn't work is because in this country, it's not capitalism. If it was, we wouldn't have the 2008 bailouts. We wouldn't have Social Security. We wouldn't have public health care. We wouldn't have any social systems at all. No type of social safety net to exist. So this technically is not even a free market. It's not capitalism at all. That's why we move away from the system into Bitcoin, where that freedom is actually is shown. And then the second thing is, when you talk about political power, the richest group in the country and the highest achieving educational are Asians, which have little to no political power. What they did was focus on local economics. They built together and they supported each other to the point where in LA, for example, or New York, they have Koreatown, Chinatown. They have a bunch of different places. They don't even have to put their signs in English because they're so well connected with each other They don't care that outside communities support them or not. And I think that with Bitcoin, we could achieve the same thing in the Black community, simply because most of our economic history has been tainted simply because of the place that we're in now. US, around the world, it's always been tainted with corporate socialism, because banks can fail all day, then get bailed out later. They can change the rules. That's the difference. Bitcoin, it doesn't matter how much you have, you can't change the rules. And if we start with the premise that nothing is fair, life isn't fair, we're never going to make it completely fair, this is as fair as it gets, because the decentralization of Bitcoin doesn't come from who owns it and how much they own. It comes from the nodes, the ability to change the rules. Nobody can change the rules. And anytime there is a soft fork, which is an upgrade, that has to be voted on. So it's actually a democratic process between people who have nodes in order to improve Bitcoin itself. And it's incentivized for you to uphold that network. So I just think that political power is not necessary for a lot of change in the Black community. And if it was, it would have to come with money. And I mean, honestly, I haven't seen a Black politician that has changed me. I know it's anecdotal, but me or anybody around me's life. I have seen certain rhetoric put out that gets people hyped up and empty promises, simply because we don't have the money behind it to lobby for what we actually want. I mean, we have a president. You don't like
the streets of Hollywood saying Black Lives Matter and taking up 2 extra lanes.
Yeah, well, I mean, Black Lives Matter, again, that was not a Black movement. I'm against any movement that encourages the disbanding of the nuclear Black family. And when you're supported, follow the money. When you're supported by people who have been known to drive a division between different races, you start to see the play at hand. And when the person who runs Black Lives Matter has a couple $1 million homes and nothing's actually been done, yeah, I don't really rock with that. So political movements don't necessarily work in today's time, because as a technologist, I can tell you right now, between the algorithms, between the actual quote unquote protesters, they're in LA, they go for auditions, $80 a day, they hand them signs, it's fake. So the political power you're looking for, they can capture it technically on the technical side. Everything that's ever been basically since Mike Brown, anything that's been a political movement, actual movement, if you look at how the algorithms work and how they get organization, most of that is from a technical standpoint, and it's not real. The only thing that's real, the only thing that people respect is economics, in my opinion. And if we are going to go into the economic realm, we have to move away from the US dollar, which is inflated, which is always, the rules have always been changed. And then in the Black community, as far as catching up, we hit a very big stagnation point, and in the mid 60s with the Civil Rights Act. And then we got off the gold standard a few years later, and it's been downhill from there or straight across. So I think that's the divide. You think political power, I think economic.
That is definitely a divide. I'm just writing down, just trying to make a couple of notes, because I don't want to try to remember and respond to all that you've said. No, and that is definitely a disagreement. And just sort of working backwards. Well, let me just go through what I tried to follow here. So one, I think we disagree on what Bitcoin is in terms of it not being a speculative project. I still see it as a speculative project. It's still, its value is still tied to what others are willing to assume its worth is, and to the extent that other people are buying in. And to the extent it's being traded, but it's not. It doesn't have any value in terms of being usable in any real sense at this point. But that to me isn't really the point.
Well, let me stop you right there.
No, wait. I don't want to wait. I don't. If I can, I don't want to be stopped right there, because I don't want to. I wanted to say that only to. I understand that there's some nuance and distinctions there. We could disagree on that, but I don't really want to do that, because unlike your previous,
there's no nuance. That's completely false. But go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. But my point would be, unlike the other folks that you've debated on this subject, my point would be, even if Bitcoin were not speculative, even if Bitcoin were to become successfully adopted as currency, it doesn't satisfy any of the problems between inequality, political power, sovereignty, redistribution of wealth, how wealth is defined, how wealth is who gets credit for the wealth that we all create. It doesn't change any of the relationships that we have. And in fact, increases the power hold that the handful of mostly white billionaires who have a lion's share of Bitcoin already would have over the rest of us. Because if the currency gets adopted, it becomes, of course, more valuable, and those who already have it become that much more powerful, further centralizing and consolidating power and accumulation of wealth. So it doesn't satisfy what for me is the ultimate problem of political power and redistribution. to your point about profitable times for Black people in this country, relative, of course, to the worst of human conditions of enslavement, are still themselves connected to the political power of those surrounding them. So whether it's the time you're talking about in Reconstruction post-Civil War, or whether we're talking about Black Wall Street or these other examples, it was not an economic assault on those communities. It wasn't even a white vigilante assault that ultimately destroyed those communities and those efforts. It was the political power that allowed for instance, redlining, redistricting of highways, of apportioning loans and grants and tax credits, et cetera. That's what destroys, and those are all political decisions. That's what it even to the extent that certain businesses are backed in terms of trades and tariffs by federal policy to support and basically, what's the word? Subsidize those businesses. That's all federal public policy. Similarly, you know, as again, so Bitcoin, even if it's adopted, doesn't change the problems of the free market that I think you accurately describe as not really free. It just allows for another form of exchange to dominate the landscape. Again, the issue of the Asian comparison, similar to other groups like Jews and others that we often hear compared to Black America. What is left out is that these were backed by federal policy, not only from the United States government, but also from the home governments of some of these Asian countries in partnerships that allowed for the flourishing of Asian businesses in ways that Black people have been denied. It was not simply an economic issue or an issue of Black people not pooling their resources and starting accurately and intelligently businesses. That has never been the issue. It is always a policy issue that ends up determining that these businesses succeed or fail, including with, by the way, within the white community. You say that sorry, I just go ahead, but there were a couple other things I wanted to respond to that in what you said. I'll just try to do it very quickly. And then, Bitcoin, you said that Bitcoin's rules can't be changed. But I don't think we want to live in a world where rules can't be both changed, monitored, transactions can't be monitored, where everything happens in secrecy and anonymity to the extent that it does. And I think it's been shown to a good extent already that it's not as secretive as and encrypted as people have been told. But even to the extent it is, we should want to live in a world where consumers are protected. I mean, the very reason that so many business-minded people are supporting crypto and in general and Bitcoin specifically is because it protects merchants, not consumers. And we should live in a world where each are protected and each are able to transact in the openness of the day under some sort of regulated policy protection like consumer protection rights, et cetera. So I don't want to live in a world where rules can't be both monitored and changed. When you talk about following the money, and we would just also disagree in terms of, I don't agree. I agree that BLM is not a radical revolutionary situation, but I don't agree on the part about the nuclear family or the Black family, that it's destroying the Black family. And in fact, if you say follow the money, yes, I get it. We could argue that money is being pumped into LGBTQ issues, but there's billions also being pumped into promoting crypto, as you were even alluding to with the Matt Damon stuff. So if it's talking about follow the money is the money trail in crypto goes to an ever descending smaller group of mostly white billionaires and miners who have a heavy centralized control over this whole situation. So anyway, I'll stop there. I think I've gone on long enough. I'll stop there. But those are just some of the things I wanted to respond to.
Oh yeah. So I mean, I would probably have to look back to see everything for the beginning. With Bitcoin, he said that was kind of inaccurate. But the main thing is, you said you don't want to live in a world where rules could be changed. Actually, you don't want to live in a world where the rules of money can be changed. That's what I was saying, not the rules of politics or the country, because Bitcoin is a global monetary system. It's not just the US. So the political power you're seeking in the US could not necessarily happen in El Salvador or Argentina, both places that could adopt Bitcoin as a legal currency. So when you say that, the characteristics of good money, one of the 6 characteristics of money is limited supply. Limited supply is only possible in Bitcoin. It is the only provably scarce asset in the world. Every other cryptocurrency, they can add more if they want to the supply. Gold, we find new gold all the time. Same thing with silver. And of course, most of the commodities that are traded they are basically kept and hoarded by these large corporations to give a fake scarcity, to make it seem scarce. Diamonds are worthless, basically, but they increase the price because of the scarcity that it seems from the De Beers corporations and others. What I mean with not changing the rules is that in policy, as you say, with politics, we don't need politicians to mess with the money at all now. Their rules are mute because of a money system that works. And because it's open source, anybody can check it. Because again, it is actually provably scarce. Those two things are part of the main 6 characteristics of money. And I think we're conflating a money system with currency. In your eyes, currency, it needs to be spent or used or whatever. Actually, money doesn't have to have that characteristic, even though Bitcoin does. And what I mean by that is gold is a $10 trillion market right now, and you can't shave off pieces of gold to buy anything. But it's considered money because it has the characteristics of money. Limited supply is arguable, but it does have the other aspects. Bitcoin achieves all those aspects and better. What I would like to see, especially in the Black community and abroad with all communities, is that one thing we keep forgetting about the Black community, all of the movements we've had, we didn't have international allies that could help us without coming to the US. They couldn't send us money, they would block off the bank accounts. They could send their well wishes, but it doesn't matter. Bitcoin gives us the ability to have allies around the world. We don't even have to like them, but we have allies around the world all working towards the same system that increases our wealth. And let me say something here. If everybody got into Bitcoin when I did in 2013,
I was gonna actually say
if every Black person, let's just say theoretically, if every Black person bought Bitcoin in 2013 when I did, and they gained 18,000% on their savings, which I have over the last 9 years, are you telling me that the Black community would not have more economic power to first get political power that you're talking about, but second, to move themselves away from this system? Because actually the best form of protest is with your money. And when every dollar you take out of the system, every dollar you take and put into Bitcoin, you are taking that out of the current tax system, which supports war, like we discussed before, and you're supporting your own oppression. Every time you use the dollar, every time you pay your taxes, every time you keep that circulation of fiat currency going, you're funding your own oppression. When are Black people going to understand? Just like I always say with other aspects of our community, I would agree, religion. You're funding your own oppression. You're giving money to a single person that determines how to dissipate it later. So if we could basically get to a point where we can have peaceful protests, those peaceful protests, you can sit on the couch, move your money into Bitcoin, move it out of banks, stop giving them power. The only reason they can lobby for these types of things from political people is because they have money and they can lobby. But when you start moving it out of their banks, that's why they have all these capital controls now. You can't send more than 600. You can't send a wire that's quick. All of these capital controls are for a reason, because they know if there was a run on the banks today, they would not have the capital to fund it. And if Black people start to move our money out of the bank, I'm not talking as a group, because I know you're big on the myth of Black buying power. I'm talking about you individually, whoever's watching it. If you have any money that is in a savings account in a bank and you move it into Bitcoin, you've already done a peaceful protest at that point by telling them, I'm not putting it back into the system. And the more we do that, the more leverage you could actually have as a community, because the only leverage you can have against a bully is you're either going to fight them or you're going to economically make them unable to operate. So unless we're going to war, which we all know we don't have the numbers to do that or the gumption to really go to war and fight these people, how else will you do it? It'll be economic. And the political power you seek, I don't understand how you want political power without money being a part of it. There is no political power. It never has been. I don't know a time in life, in any civilization, where money has not been a part of who was brought to power. And I don't see that happening in the US. So I just think that we have a few things that are advantage. For one, if you have Bitcoin, peaceful protest, you move out of the current system. For two, you have self-sovereignty. You said sovereignty was not a part of that. Actually, it is. Being your own bank is as sovereign as it gets. And of course, there are things you need to learn. That's why we do education, in order for you not to lose it or to not be able to use it correctly and have security. So that is possible. And then on top of that, like I said before, it disintermediates the banks at a certain point. Commercial banks, at least. Federal Reserve is the ultimate goal. So I just don't see how the solution you're looking for happens without economics. And then I don't see how the economic solution happens without Bitcoin.
So let me clarify, because this part I think is probably from my own doing not made clear enough. When I say political power, I don't mean mainstream Democratic Party, Republican Party politician.
I mean organization,
mechanism.
like a Black.
I'm talking about
socialist party. A socialist party.
Not necessarily. not necessarily on, and even though I saw you titled it this way, I don't know if anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm not arguing for the Socialist Party either. What I am saying necessarily, what I am saying is also intentionally vague because how we achieve political power, I don't know necessarily should be discussed publicly. It should take place within organized political spaces where people are clear on the ideology and the perspectives at play, et cetera, and so forth. But when I say achieve political power, I'm talking about, again, the power to determine what wealth is and how it's distributed, how it's created, the ability to determine what would be allowable as currency or a tradable device. That's what I'm talking about.
I think what you're missing is we don't need it anymore for Bitcoin. You don't need anybody to make policy about it because it's already created. It's open source. So if nobody can change it, why do we need a political power, like you said,
because the political power. Because again, the political power is what is ultimately the goal. And this is why those in power have been particularly targeting Black people, historically encouraging Black entrepreneurialism so that we don't organize for political power and make all this moot. And my point would be, what would make it moot is that even in the world of Bitcoin, wealth is still accumulated. Wealth is still, would still be involved, if I'm hearing you correctly, the wealth that would be achieved through Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency would still be used in manipulating the political apparatus. It would still be deployed in determining the rules of society. Again, what trade is allowable, who gets to do what, that still has to be determined. And the existence of a new technology and the existence of a currency, even if Bitcoin rises to that level, doesn't satisfy that concern. And what we're seeing now, so to your point, you are, I think, historically inaccurate when you say that there's never been a time where movements have occurred without money. That's the exact opposite. The biggest changes in this society have occurred from the people with the least amount of material wealth or income, et cetera.
Like
so
Civil Rights Act?
Well, I was going to start earlier. Enslavement, the ending of enslavement, what brought about the Civil War, what brought about one of the biggest, at least symbolic changes or reorganizations in this society were enslaved Africans with no material wealth whatsoever, with no legal rights whatsoever, organizing themselves and achieving political power through rebellion, through work stoppages.
I told you it's two ways. You get to kill them.
Okay.
Or you bankrupt
but it wasn't just that. But that wasn't just that. They impacted the political apparatus. That was where people more prominently, like Frederick Douglass, came into play and were impacting through legislation and the impacting of the laws, or at least arguing for those changes to occur, to make them occur, and to make the symbolic shifts with the 13th Amendment, with the Emancipation Proclamation, with all the other amendments. They were symbolically pressured by people who had nothing but their organized power. Same thing with civil rights. While there was an influx at times of money, the real power that came from it was from mostly poor working people struggling and organizing and taking risks that impacted the political and ultimately the economic system, which is why Dr. King at the end of his life was so hated by even his fellow colleagues, because they were telling him, you're messing up our money by organizing people beyond the strictures of a Democratic Party, the structures of a Democratic Party, the stricture of a Democratic Party. Similar with the labor movement in this country. The only reason we have child labor laws, and the only reason that we have what little benefits we do in terms of workplace safety, and the fact that we have a weekend, is because people without any money at all, without any rights at all, organized and challenged this society using the only thing they had, which is their numbers and their organized strength. This is what has been intentionally assaulted in our political consciousness to encourage us to go in this direction of strictly focusing, quote unquote, on our financial literacy or our money.
Well, let me just say, all three of those movements you just named, they had donors that were rich, that were able to. But
none of that is what drove the movement. None of those movements. Wait a minute. That's misrepresentation. None of those.
For people to organize, it doesn't take money. What I'm saying is, for it to work, you needed the money aspect, because again, the civil rights movement, did it actually help the Black community as far as economic? Did anything help us?
Not really.
No,
not really.
So that's what I'm saying. You can organize.
Well, it was incomplete though, but it was incomplete.
But that's the thing.
You can't ignore the counterintelligence program and the assassination of these leaders and the imprisonment of political prisoners.
And that's what I'm trying to explain to you today. But
Bitcoin doesn't satisfy that.
No, what I'm telling you is that counterintelligence that infiltrated a lot of these movements and took them over and were able to basically get the movement to not work. They are still here today. And what I'm saying is the only way to block against them is with Bitcoin, because they can't stop it. You can stop people, you can infiltrate, you can get people a few rights, but
so if I could finish, that's another point I was going to address. That's actually not true. And we're seeing that. So for instance, a lot of people who are supporters of people like Julian Assange and WikiLeaks have raised this as a reason why the left should adopt blockchain and crypto and embrace it, because when WikiLeaks was attacked by the governments at B and their bank accounts were shut down and all this, Bitcoin could be used to transfer wealth and money to support WikiLeaks, and they were able to continue on and so on. But the point that keeps getting left out of that I think is being missed here is that Julian Assange still got locked up. He still got put in solitary confinement. He still is not free. That's where the political apparatus comes in. That's where the political power of the state, it can intervene, even into your point, internationally, to block people's entrance, to block people being able to withdraw those assets. This is why currently those who have absconded with people's Bitcoin wallets,
not in Bitcoin. You can't take someone's Bitcoin unless they give you the private keys.
Okay.
And unless you get it stolen, which is illegal,
or it gets stolen through the exchanges. My point is, when the exchanges get robbed,
I have a saying.
Wait. But when the exchanges get robbed, you can still watch the money get transferred, but the people themselves lack the political power to actually go out and enjoy and make use of it in the fullest and freest ways, because they still don't have the political freedom to go and do it. So the money may disappear, but that doesn't lead to the kind of political power that we need to have that would again say, no matter how wealth is created or who ends up accumulating the most of it, or where it would normally go under normal circumstances, that wealth has to be redistributed, because all of us are ultimately what make it possible for wealth to be created, no matter whether we're the working person or the venture capitalist, whether we invested early in Bitcoin or whether we're late and FUD or whatever I get called all the time by the crypto enthusiasts, whether we're, that should not have anything to do. We should not have to be as smart as you all are with investing to collectively benefit from the society we help.
You don't. That's the point.
Zach, let me piggyback on some few things. First, I will quickly push back on that. No, that is a problem. Everyone's trying to not be as smarter. We don't have to be perfect, or we can just no, this is a very competitive world. It's getting more competitive, especially when we add AI and computers. No, everyone does need to be this smart. If you're not trying to be this smart, yeah, you're going to get left behind. I don't care what color you are, who you are, that's where we're moving toward. It's not how I feel, it's a fact of life. Computers and AI are going to be taking over. If you want to have a job, you need to smarten up. You need to figure it out, you need to adapt. So I will say that. Also to piggyback, what it sounds like you're saying, which I agree with to a certain extent, and I see what Zay's saying, that's why I think it more takes over. Yes, a grassroots, right now we're all angry and upset. Hey, let's go do X, Y, Z. Let's go take care of this. Let's go vote this way. Let's go protest this, whatever the thing is. Let's go buy these. Let's go support this. That in and of itself is a grassroots movement. We get 30,000 more people on the same day. Hell yeah, we all 30,000 of us about to do whatever. You're right. That didn't take money. That's grassroots. After day one, and really even throughout day one, if you want that to be sustained, it will take resources. We're going to need water. We're going to need places for people to sleep. How are people going to get bused here and there? Like, that is resources. That is how political movements get started. So I'm not understanding, whether you want to call it money, Bitcoin, whatever, how you can have a political movement literally move without any type of value attributed to the resources. I'm not understanding that. You have to have.
I can give you. I'll give you a quick example.
For example, I was just going to say, for example, I mean, in the 60s when you had the bus movement, and Rosa Parks sat on the bus, and the political movement around that was to not take the buses. But you also had a group of Black people at the same time that says, hey, why don't we get together and buy our own bus system, so we don't even have to worry about white people's bus? They got shouted out of the community. They're like, what do you mean our own buses? No, we don't. So they organized politically, but they left out the economic side of it. And what ended up happening was they integrated buses, and they integrated everything else. And you know what happened in the Black community? When integration happened, they pulled all of our best and brightest minds out of our community because whiteness was so amazing to them, and integration did not work. We went to their schools. We got into professions in their organizations. We didn't do it together because economically we didn't together feel like we could do it ourselves. And I think that may have been Stockholm syndrome or whatever. But a lot of times when we talk about the political movements you're talking about, when the money part is left out, like the civil rights movement, it was left out, so it doesn't work for us. So I believe we have to have a little bit of both, but you can't ignore the fact that Bitcoin within itself is a political movement. So it has both rolled into one. It has the economic side and the political movement you're talking about with allies. We have allies all around the world. If everybody starts to accumulate Bitcoin, small countries, big, it doesn't matter. If you already own the real estate, so to say, for example, you said white people, they got FHA loans in the 20s through 40s. Yes, that was a government program incentivized keeping Black people out of neighborhoods. They own that property. They're sitting on it. The property value continually increased year over year over year. And what I'm saying is, if Bitcoin, if you already own the asset as Black people, and then more people around the world, only 2% of the world has Bitcoin, the other 98% come into the space, you are enriching yourself and big companies as well. You're enriching yourself as a community to get that political power while still moving it out of the current system. So we get to achieve kill two birds with one stone with Bitcoin.
So there's a lot to address there. So one, it wasn't that the civil rights movement left out the economic piece. It was that as they realized, and this is one of the biggest revelations of Dr. King, was that there isn't enough money in Black communities to scale up Black communities, to have those Black communities and businesses help Black communities collectively. That the only thing that can help any community, and this is what whites have understood, and this is why they continue to promote these mythologies, is that you have to have control over the federal apparatus and the redistribution of the wealth that society creates. That's the only way it's done. And that's what the civil rights movement began to understand. And this is why Dr. King radicalized and internationalized and challenged the economic system more and more to the end of his life. This is why the offshoots post his time did the same thing, and radicals more radical than him before his time did the same thing. And this is why the marketing and advertising community led right around the 1970s with Richard Nixon leading the way, specifically said we need to rebrand Black power away from socialism and Pan-Africanism and anti-imperialist politics, and rebranded as Black capitalism, Black entrepreneurialism, and so on and so on. So the allies that you described that they exist in the crypto world are, I'm sure, allies at the level of business, venture capital, entrepreneurialism, investment. It's not an and to the extent that you're talking about it's a political movement, it's political in the sense that it's politically moving Black people into a conservative, libertarian, Black capitalist politics. And I'm arguing that we need a different kind of politics that Bitcoin and investment doesn't address. So the other point about if Black people had invested back in the day, and I've read, you have that quote from Max Kaiser in there, which is really absurd on its face, that if Black people had invested in 2011, they would own white people today. The biggest, of course, obvious point is that Black people do not have any money, do not have the ability to invest at levels that would give returns that would create wealth that closes the gaps and the divide that exist. We're seeing it right now. White billionaires have the lion's share of existing Bitcoin and crypto. The billionaires.
We don't know that for a fact, to be honest.
Hold on. Well, when we see the list of billionaires who have invested in crypto, they're all white and Asian. We do know that hold on, let me finish. We do know that the major exchanges, Binance and Coinbase, are owned by Asians and whites. They are collecting all of the billions of dollars in transactions and enriching themselves. And so when you are telling people to invest, you're telling poor people in small retail amounts to invest in money that they can't afford to park and wait to increase in value, and also will not be able to take out soon enough to in an increased value to make it worth their time, even if they did have the money to invest and risk as a speculative investment, as it still is at this point. So there could have never been a catching up moment had Black people done in some mystical time past, organized and collectively invested and have it benefit them today. And then even if it did, my point would be, it would be a political policy that would simply devalue whatever Black people were buying, wherever Black people were moving, wherever Black people were going. It would just lose value, whether that value was in Bitcoin or the dollar. And Black people would be blocked by public policy from investing in all the dominant industries, as is the case today, which is what prevents those businesses from existing and then flourishing. And then the pay rate of Black people in jobs would still, through public policy and racism, be held beneath the standard for whites. So again, none of the issues of the relationships Black people have to society, relationships Black people have to the economy, or anyone else for that matter, or and the issue of public political power or redistribution, none of that is solved by crypto or Bitcoin.
All right, so well, you the last thing you said, pay rate. You do know in the blockchain industry you get paid 30 to 40% on average for the same job. So what I was introducing to the Black community is, if you work in this industry.
Well, I would have to say there's no evidence for that. You said there's no evidence for where it's accumulated. There's no evidence for that.
Yes, it is, because if you look at an accountant with the same exact qualifications in an accountant in the crypto space, because the jobs are scarce, they're desperately trying to find people to work in the blockchain space. They're paying
and black accountants are paid at the same rate. That study has been done.
The Black accountants, for it doesn't matter, Black, white, it doesn't matter. We're talking about accountants, period.
Look at our team. We're paying a lot of Black people right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, this is what I was saying about the pay rate. He said the pay rate wouldn't change. Again, facts. In the blockchain industry, most jobs, you are paid 30 to 40% more for the same job because they are scarce. They can't find crypto accountants. They can't find good designers in this industry. They're still searching for great project managers and business people, because on the tech side, we're great. But as far as the business side, they're missing a lot. So for Black people, what I was showing was that if you join this industry, no matter what you're doing, your pay rate will be higher just for joining this industry. So that's on the pay rate side. And you can actually look up Bitcoiner jobs list. You can look at Pomp's job list. You can look up, and we're using this job list for the school that I'm opening in Florida. So I promise you these are facts. Second thing is, when you said that Black people didn't have money to invest in it, my man, you live in one of the richest Black areas in the world. Yes, we absolutely did. When Max Kaiser was talking about buying it, it was $1. You telling me that people don't have, if somebody bought $10 worth of Bitcoin at $1, 10 Bitcoins today is 300K. You mean to tell me that in a decade, $300,000 worth of value would not have changed anything in the Black community? That is false, sir. Even if they did it, when I got in 2013 at $200, that would have changed, because what happened is, let's do a microcosm of that. Me personally doing that, we now employ dozens of people. I have made hundreds of people millionaires, and I have thousands of people that I've taught in this industry that have gotten jobs as well as started startups. That's one person. That's just me.
You've created hundreds of millionaires?
Hundreds of millionaires, yes.
We got millionaires. Hold on. And they're millionaires. Wait a minute. They're millionaires based on what? The ability to do
USD what? Value. In USD value,
right.
They are millionaires. Yes, but the thing is, they're not selling their Bitcoin because they understand as an asset, you can actually use Bitcoin as an asset in order to get cash loans and never sell your Bitcoin. So what we have here is, we have a difference of opinion because I've done the work, I've seen it happen, and you're telling me it can't happen. I'm living.
Well, I mean,
I'm just saying, if there were 1,000 me's,
but this is what always happens with investment. This is always what happens with investment. Those who do well, say it can be replicated by everybody, but that is by definition impossible.
But no,
really quick,
forget investment.
All right,
Dr. Ball, forget the dollar. Get the dollar.
Zay and Dr. Ball, I think that's where, and again, this always gets lost in this space. There's two really types of people in this space. So people who are coming over for profit, for fiat currency, for money, and people actually coming for the technology and Bitcoin. And I say that because as of late, I've been comparing Bitcoin to a calculator. I'm like, just start thinking of it as a calculator. Do you want to write down arithmetic on paper, or do you just want to grab a calculator and do the math? It works. Bitcoin as a money, as a program, as a protocol, is code. It actually just works. So when you're looking at it as for profit, as a person saying, well, I'm just going to wait for it to go up, or you guys are early investors, I'm going to take out here. No, we're saying no, buy Bitcoin. If the future is based, which we think it will be based on Bitcoin because it works and other people use it and transact with it, then you never need to sell it. And now once it flips to, okay, well, how much Bitcoin do you have? Even if you have $3 worth of USD value, that $3 of Bitcoin is irreplaceable. It will never pop up again. So it's worth a lot more, especially if you're staying on that system. Now, if you are coming over to the fiat side, you are looking for the investment side vehicle of it, then even still, it is still better an investment than where else would you park your money. If a person only had $5 or $10 extra, if that, a month, and you're talking to somebody, I grew up in Detroit. I used to walk to the grocery store with my mom and picking up bottles in a trash bag on the way to put 5-cent bottles in and have enough money. For you talking to a person who came from an environment where we don't have an extra $3 to $5 a week. We literally don't. But literally that's all it takes to get into this system at the price points we're talking about, and especially if it maintains a Bitcoin-backed system. So I get what you're saying, but I think we're just looking at it from if we're going back to the dollars, and we're saying we're not even trying to go back to fiat currency. We're trying to stay.
My last point.
That was my point.
Was about the exchanges. You said mostly white and Asians, mostly dominated. Cool, yes. But is it possible for Black people? Yes. The biggest exchange in the crypto history was owned by a Black man, Arthur Hayes. The creator of decentralized finance is Reggie Middleton. You just talked to him on a debate a while ago. He created DeFi. The only wallet left on the Apple Store when they did a whole sweep was a black man, Lamar Wilson, FIFA. The only woman in
Black
America.
People invented jazz and hip hop and
this
traffic light.
But this is the difference. The money aspect. They did not get what they were worth. They got record deals. They got their money extracted. The difference is nobody can take Bitcoin away from us. We can create in this economy and we can keep our wealth. That's the difference, is that
right, but its value, but again, the value of the Bitcoin is still dependent on a number of different things. It's dependent on how much it's adopted. It's dependent on if the miners stay mining it forever and ever.
One Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin.
Yeah, one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. That's not, the price of it means nothing. One Bitcoin out of 21 million is a scarce asset. You own a piece of a scarce asset that will never be recreated. So you have the ability to send value, no matter what that value is. Bitcoin could stay at $1 for the rest of my life. Wouldn't matter. I would just keep putting it in Bitcoin because I can transact when I want. Nobody can take it from me. And there's nothing tax related associated with it. How does that not increase your wealth? Period. Just the tax part. Like, you don't pay taxes on Bitcoin. Just put it in that.
Well, that's for now. That's about to change too.
No, it's not. By the way, you can't tax Bitcoin that I have on a hardware wallet.
But you can you tax transactions,
tax capital gains, yeah. But I don't
gains, all of that. That's what's.
But you don't transact with it. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to transact.
So that's also my point. So it's not usable, and it only has value based on it being constantly reinvested in by other people.
Have you been to Nigeria? Have you been to Nigeria? Nigeria is #1 in transactions in Bitcoin. They need it. Have you been to Venezuela?
Right.
Have you seen?
And
they use it as a currency. We use it because we're in first world as a store of value or for other means. In the first world, it isn't really smart to spend it because the value of it is so precious. In other countries, the volatility of Bitcoin is much less than the inflation of their country. So Zimbabwe, Nigeria.
The gaps in wealth and income have not changed in any of those places. The political power of those countries has not increased. All that has happened is the value of those who own those currencies and own more of those currencies has gone up because of the adoption rates and because of the transactions. And that's sort of my point. That is dependent on political power. That is the political power of the Nigerian state, of the Venezuelan state, of whoever other state is going to do it. And then if it is adopted, and my point is still, and remember what I started with.
No. That's wrong.
Well, obviously it is because
individuals,
obviously it is.
The Nigerian senator came out. The Nigerian senator came out and said, "We can't stop these kids from using Bitcoin." He was on live TV saying, "There's nothing we can do because these kids."
Of course you can. If you cannot use the Bitcoin to buy groceries or to pay bills,
yes, you can.
But listen to what I'm saying. My point is, if you can use Bitcoin to buy clothes, groceries, and bills, that is a political decision of the state in which those transactions are occurring. That requires the political support of the state. That also means which is part of my point. It also, to the other part I'm getting at, where I started, even if all of this occurs that you all say will and is likely to, and all we end up with full adoption rates and all of that. Again, we still live in a world where a few people have all the wealth, most people don't, and everybody who doesn't has to find jobs and find themselves looking for support within, serving those who have already accumulated the wealth. It does not change any relationships.
I mean, if you want a political movement, that's it right there. Nigerian senator cannot stop the people because they have Bitcoin. You know how you stop political movements?
And what are they doing? What are the people doing?
The people are transacting in Bitcoin because they have a surplus of funds. They have, to each person in Nigeria,
and they're buying what? And they're buying what?
No, what they're doing is, if you're a business and you need to send $1,000 to another business with Naira, by the time it gets there, the inflation rate may take it down. With Bitcoin, They can buy Bitcoin, send it, and they can do international transactions.
And the fluctuation rate of Bitcoin could go down too.
Or exactly, volatility is good for good assets, and it's early. If you look at the Lindy curve of how money is adopted, you start with a collectible, you go to store of value, medium of exchange, then unit of account. That could take 40 years, sir. We're in year 14.
Okay, so how?
No, hold up. You want a completed product when we're working towards it, and it's a tech problem. This isn't a political.
But that's what we fundamentally disagree. Technology doesn't solve political problems. That is historically.
I'm not saying that tech is going to solve the political. What I'm saying is the political problems we have don't matter if you have enough economics to influence your own political party. If I say I don't like the rules in this city and I make enough money to move somewhere else and start my own commune with 20 people, did that money not give me the political power of my own sovereignty? And with
no, because first of all, and rich people like Jay-Z found this when he tried to buy an apartment some years ago, even though he could afford it, they didn't let him in. And that was a political decision. So wherever you wanted to start this commune, you would have to get the political support of that state, of that county to build there.
Or I could just buy it.
Again, that's not true. Somebody would still have to sell it to you, and then politically, it would have to be legal for it to be sold to you. So, the land would have to be available, and again, that would be available to you. That does not solve the collective problem that we all face, which is a redistribution problem, not a technological one, not one of accumulation in the sense of something being accumulated by a handful of people. That problem already exists, and we're seeing it replicate again, where there is an accumulation of wealth within the crypto world, within the exchange world, within the mining world, which means all the wealth that's being accumulated is going to a handful of people. Again, like the owner of Coinbase and Binance, they're making all of this money, which they can then by the way, they're all investing too. So this thing of you telling Black people to invest in small amounts, well, there is with the idea that will allow Black people to catch up to all of the as you all have covered yourself. JP Morgan is now doing it. Bank of America, Wall Street's getting involved. You already have the billionaire.
I will say, well, we can't.
So how does this again? How would this then change the power dynamic if they're already involved, if they already have a lion's share of the wealth?
The main thing is I owned an asset in 2013 that all those companies you just named, they had to purchase this asset in order to own it, which means that the amount of value in USD for myself increased. So if Black people all owned this asset in 2013 and they all have, that's what's happening now because only 2% of the world owns it. So we still have the opportunity. It's still early. It's not too late. And the value of Bitcoin has no top because the value of fiat has no bottom. So we know fiat currency, which has failed in every single society, is down 99% right now. If we know it's going to fail, what is the other option? Do you want to organize politically and use fiat currency, which is inflation, which is killing us right now, 6.8%? Or do you want to organize and use Bitcoin? Because if you use Bitcoin, you are organized automatically by using it. So you don't even have to get the people to get
That's a false dichotomy. I want to organize for power so that regardless of what is used as currency, regardless of what people are investing in, the wealth that is created from that goes back to the people and we all benefit. That's what I want.
How would that happen? Well, let me ask this.
What do you mean, how would that happen?
No, I'm saying how would we implement what you're saying?
You said what's the solution? That's what
you have to People have to join organizations. People have to join organizations, become politically organized, and we have to use our only real power, which is our people power, to force change, to confront the state, to confront the powers that be, to make the daily operation of society untenable.
How do you eat dinner if you organize nowadays? I'm being serious. Like if you're literally
the same way people work. I mean, the same way people historically have done that. You work and then you eat. So
you cannot
redistribute. Share.
You can't separate the economic side of it. Then, like literally, you can't separate it. You can't organize all day without having dinner or lunch or doing like.
No, I mean everybody. I'm not saying. Look, I mean, look to your point. We aren't free yet. The revolution is a process. So in the meantime, I'm going to work. You're going to work, you're raising money through the work that you're doing and the classes that you sell however we're all going to work. And I'm saying, so in addition to work, we have to also join political organizations. We have to make those political organizations strong and more radical. And we have to encourage more people join us in that way. So if we spent as much time encouraging people to invest as we did encouraging people to join organizations, that would, I think, lead us to a better place, because
Well, we
there is
spent
no.
100 years getting people to organize. We haven't spent a lot of years getting people to invest.
Well, something being wiped out, but
no, I'm talking about
sorry,
for hundreds of years we've been organizing people.
But those movements, because of their success and because of their threatening nature,
Civil rights wasn't successful. Civil rights wasn't successful.
No. Let me finish though.
Labor Party without the unions.
Oh, wait a minute. The labor movement and the Black liberation movement and other movements have been seen as incredibly threatening. That's why they have been attacked by the most powerful state in history.
Money.
Efforts towards moving Black people to investment has not been threatening, and which is why even in their own language, in their own literature, they have overtly and aggressively encouraged that. That's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm saying off its top, what we're being encouraged to through more Black capitalism and investment can't work for the collective. It is not a solution. And then, I've tried to add some substance and some detail to that in this discussion, as I have in many of my video commentaries on this subject and elsewhere.
One thing I also want to add, because you mentioned the Brian Armstrongs and the Coinbases and stuff, and the wealth accumulation in Bitcoin. First, I had to push back, because just like you asked for some stuff, like we've been in this space, we study the numbers. I mean, I remember in 2016 and 2017, we used to look at the Bitcoin percentages and wallets we had a percentage of Bitcoin, a real percent. So this isn't like maybe this could happen, this could happen. I remember when Bitcoin was $300 some dollars, $400, we had a percent of Bitcoin. We had a percent actually into the bear market. That's when we started losing our chunks, as most people did. But we had a real percent. So I don't. First, I want to say I don't want to penalize.
Hold up, we drinking? Hold up, we drinking.
Oh, we've been. Hey, listen. We was trying not to be cool, crazy.
We started early.
Hold up, I didn't know.
Already started early.
Hold up. This is the unofficial sponsor, BPM. I didn't know. Hey, at the end of the day, we could agree on that now. Hold up, son.
Oh yeah, Uncle Nearest is my joint.
All right. So no, I was saying so with all that.
You know why Uncle Nearest got that bottle? Because they took money from him, Jack Daniels. They took money from him, so they had to give him it because they had to recoup that money. That's the reason they got Uncle Nearest. It's economic. The political movement around Uncle Nearest. And anybody organized and formed the Jack Daniels.
And you know, do you know how much Black people owning Uncle Nearest has done for the Black community? Nothing. Hasn't done one. Hasn't made one.
All right. I ain't gonna let my two drunk uncles get to talking after the barbecue. But what I will say is, no, seriously, I want to get back to this Brian Armstrong thing. I don't want to penalize people who took the risk in the market, regardless of who they are. They took some incredible and crazy risks, like Coinbase. He could went to prison over that. Like already lending services, SEC started him. So I don't want to penalize the people taking risks. First, secondly, when I mentioned that Bitcoin wealth accumulation, because unless you're actually showing me proof, we don't know that the sources you say it's only white and Asians who have the most Bitcoin. I don't know that to be true all the way. There's a ton of people in a ton of places globally who have been in the market. Go ahead.
No, I have research that shows specifically what I was saying when I was talking about the white and Asian. I was talking about the Asian owner of Binance, the biggest exchange,
right? The exchanges, but that's not
the white owner of. And what I was talking about was that what we're seeing is the same kind of consolidation. So this all this talk about decentralization and all this, we're still seeing the systems of capitalism replicating and imperialism replicating. So you still have a handful of exchanges and a handful of technologies and corporations coming up to become the intermediaries in all these processes, the plans and all these other business.
You're complaining the industry.
And I've seen the research that shows where they went through by tracing wallet transactions and whatever other methods to show that there's an accumulation of even Bitcoin in the hands of a few.
So I agree. There is an accumulation of Bitcoin in the hands of the few. Those few we don't know. So I'll say that first. When it comes to the actual, you're conflating the industry and the mechanisms of the industry and the businesses of the industry with the actual protocol, with the actual code. That is what people get confused. There can be, for one, when you're talking about Bitcoin itself, it is anti-exchanges. It's supposed to be peer-to-peer. It's the fact people are using exchanges because it's easy. And even now we had this whole conversation yesterday about taxes. Well, are you taxing trades? Because technically, yes, you do trade on an exchange, but in a wallet, it's a cross-atomic swap. It's not a trade. So they're conflating that technology with the literature, what trading is, and trying to tax it. So I'm saying you're doing the same thing first with the industry. You're saying what the Coinbase are saying.
And I'm saying you're doing the exact opposite. So my point,
because I'm looking at the technology.
Right, and that's my point. And because you all understand the technology and work with the technology and appreciate the technology, I think you're confusing that for politics. So you see the beauty in the tech, you see the beauty in the code, and think that you think it's happening in a vacuum.
But this
there's
is
a
why
political world that's occurring. So that's why, to your point, even though the code is supposed to be peer-to-peer, the political world kicks in, and all of a sudden we see a consolidation, intermediaries, wealth accumulating in the same places.
Peer-to-peer. The code's not peer-to-peer. The way it's intended to be used in the white paper. They said, hey, this is for peer-to-peer. So you can't, but my point is, no, this is the power of it. So this is why I always tell people, in the United States, outside of like literally doing something extreme, like breaking the law in an extreme manner, it's not much you can do with me. All right, like, so outside the United States, that goes even further. If you have your own Bitcoin, you have your own value that other people accept as value. It can't be confiscated unless you give it away. Now, granted, if you're in a country like the States or something, it's like, oh, we'll just have the police hang you upside down. Of course, physical confiscation can happen almost anywhere. But as far as you willingly giving over, it can't be done. So once that price point gets high enough, it doesn't need to be super high. We're talking on our channel all the time. People are saying, you guys just like, we should start lobbying thing or a PAC or something. Like, these things are possible to start and happen, and we have full control of it. The only way for those controls to be broken is if on a Wednesday night, Congress creates a new law, which the majority consensus, whatever, agrees with, and then they use their enforcement arm, which is the police and military, say you will abide by that law. Outside of that physical enforcement, there's literally nothing you can do. So that goes back to my earlier point.
That's a lot, though. That's a big if. I mean, that's my point. That's a huge.
Well, but you can say that with anything. Then you can literally political grassroots political movement. Cool.
Right.
Hey, tear gas them. What was the thing?
What is your actual steps? Tell me your actual steps for this to succeed, because I laid mine out in the book. What's your steps for a political movement?
And as I went through, change
everything. And what is it political around?
So first of all, to your point, to your point, what you laid out in your book, again, what you laid out in your book is a rebranding of an old argument that has been proven to have not worked. So when you talk about, we've already tried the political organizing, we've been trying black businesses, we've been trying black economics and entrepreneurialism for as long a period, if not longer, and it has been encouraged and supported and not attacked as activism has, and still has not done anything to advance us.
Yes,
so that would be one thing. So that would be one thing. So
you can't just say that.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it did.
I'm not walking off. I'm not going anywhere. I'm trying to finish my point. I'm just trying to finish my point.
I know, but
go ahead, interrupt. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying, go ahead. But what I'm saying is, when you say that, the main aspect of you saying it didn't work, it didn't happen. Me, you, and King are sitting right here in 3 different places on a call that was created by a capitalist country, on a computer that was created by a company, using internet that was created by a company in capitalism.
Right.
And we're
coming from communities
that are the 10th biggest country of wealth of black people in the world. That's why people.
So that's wrong. So that's part
here.
of what I've.
Wait. To earn wealth. People literally risk their life to come here to earn wealth. Is it the best? Hell no. We all want to change the system. What I'm saying is, you said it didn't work at all. You said nothing changed at all.
No.
I'm saying
I didn't say nothing. May I finish? I didn't say nothing changed. I said it didn't work in improving the conditions or the relationship of black people to this society. So the use of this technology, to your point, but we're all still coming from communities that are economically as poor now as ever, with a gap between black and white wealth and income that is widening. We're still coming from a situation where our political prisoners are locked up, where so many other horrors of black life in this country still take place. So, and we're living at a time where an increase in wealth has only been extended by the technology we're using right now. So the fact that you and I are able to communicate on this doesn't mean that Zoom and YouTube and everybody else and Google aren't benefiting more than we are from this, even this kind of conversation. So that isn't evidence of change. The fact that other people from around the world come to the United States to make money is more evidence of the US being an empire, imperial, causing depredation and conditions that make people want to leave their homes and come here, because nobody really wants to do that. They do it out of a necessity that has been imposed on them by the policies of the United States. So what I'm saying simply is that the advances that we've ever enjoyed, whether that is black people or working people, have all come from organized movements that have attempted to assume political power. They were not efforts to get money. They were efforts to get political power. So, and they were seen as the most threatening, and which is why they were attacked as the way they were.
Yeah,
and
I mean, again, like I said, we can go in circles on this, but I guess I got to go at 11:30. But I guess my main thing is with Bitcoin. Shit, this camera. My main thing is with Bitcoin is we figured out a way to harness the power of the sun and turn it into money, and we found a way to make it provably scarce. We found a way for it to follow with the first and third law of thermodynamics. We found a way for it to follow economic policy, physics, cryptography, and increasingly we found a way for it to integrate into our daily lives. What I'm saying is Bitcoin as an invention is just as good, if not better, than the internet. And telling Black people and any people not to use it simply because you don't think it will work is detrimental to them and to yourself, because what other options do you have other than the fiat system to achieve what you are talking about? Whatever you want to do it in the fiat system, that's fine. You're going to constantly lose money over time. What I'm saying is, even if you wanted to organize politically, what subject or what ideals would you gather around in order to form that political movement? And as far as with Bitcoin, I think all we have to do is agree that we want to use Bitcoin. And that's a much lower barrier to entry and much more successful, in my opinion, long term, because it's economic. Martin Luther King got shot after he started talking about economics. JFK got shot in the head as soon as he started talking about disbanding the Federal Reserve. Political movements was not what got them killed. It was them trying to come for the money. As soon as they mentioned the money, that's when they got killed, because that is the actual most important part. There's a lot of allies in America for Black people. As soon as you ask them about money, they run and hide and they tell you that's not possible. So again, that is the actual deal breaker for most people, is the money aspect, because it's the most important. And with that, again, appreciate you, Doctor. I got to run. I got me here.
All right, peace.
And Dr. Ball, let you have the last words on this one. What are your last thoughts?
My real last thought, my biggest last thoughts are that even though we disagree, I appreciate you all doing this. I don't think enough people are willing to step up and have public disagreements in relatively respectful ways. So I appreciate that. King and Kennedy were killed for coming for the money. I agree, but because they were threatening the existing capitalist structure. And if folks think that investing and creating a new currency that's going to threaten the wealth that's created and accumulated through capitalism is going to come without the same kind of threat, then I think they're missing the political points I've been trying to raise today. But anyway, I appreciate you all very much. I appreciate your audience to the extent that I didn't see the chat and all of that, but I appreciate them taking the time to listen and stick around. And I appreciate you all having me. And like Fred Hampton used to say, I wish you all peace, as long as you're willing to fight for it. So
hey, thanks again, Dr. Ball, for being here. Much appreciated. And from there, we'll take a couple more callers in as well to listen what you all have to say. I see one actually entering the waiting room now. I would say my last thoughts, again, I do see both sides of the argument. My only thing is, I actually agree with Dr. Ball, what he just said, which is what I tell Zay all the time. Like, let's say we do get a bunch of Bitcoin, all this work. You think they're going to let us have it? So I agree with them. Then it comes that military side of things, but I still go back to, well, if a fight's going to happen, a fight's going to happen. But how are you going to pay for the fight? How are you going to pay for the water? How are you going to pay for the lunches? How are you going to pay for the stuff? And I'm not talking about a fight here in the States. Again, this is a global currency, so across the world. And then the second thing I would say is I think we often miss out, especially when they like, we're saying who has the majority of Bitcoin, these companies, or it's the man, or it's the Asian, or whatever. I think we forget, like, the Black people in America are the minorities. We're 13%. So if people did hate us that much, they wouldn't have to hide it. We wouldn't really be here like that. It would be kind of even more noticeable, I think. So with that, I would say I think we have more allies than we think, and we should really embrace those allies. If everyone was out to get you, it wouldn't be a secret. What's going on, Eli? You have your video going?
Meantime, taking some bitterment.
Eli, I'm gonna have to mute you. Come on now. Oh man, you all just call up and forget your call. There it is. All right, let me try to get Michael in the room, see what kind of updates he has for us, and then I'm gonna get back to the last couple of quick stories, and we'll see what's going on there. Black people in America are the minorities, we're 13%. So hey, what's going on, Michael? You hate us that much? You gotta turn over YouTube. You're like that. It'd be kind of even more. All right, come on, like y'all not gotta know how to come into the live stream. Hey, this is Kevin Samuels we're talking about. Hey, Eli, you there? If not, Michael, you can go ahead and unmute there. Michael, what's going on?
Oh, hey, what's going on?
Hey, so, what you got for us today?
So I know I'll be quick because that was a great discussion, and there was like a 2-minute piece that Isaiah said, man, you need to bottle that, and it needs to be like the new constitution, man. I mean, he was dead on and everything. So I'll be quick. I loved the interview last week with Jeffrey. I kind of looked at him as a P.T. Barnum, because in a sense where it was never really a dialogue like you just had. It's like, it's his way, and I don't care really what you say. He's not changing his views, but it was still entertaining, and it was good. It was good dialogue. What's funny, I know that you guys may not be a XRP fan, but what I'm about to say is not about XRP. So
I was about, man, you gonna maybe take a drink. I was like, here we go. All right, it's good.
No, so as you know, you guys were talking about India and the 30% tax. You know, India is finally getting back on board with Bitcoin. And so what's funny is Crypto Ellie, who's an XRP person, yesterday or day before, she brought up this article by a guy named Rahul Advani. And this is what he said, which is classic. He said, each country is creating its own digital currency, and we're just recreating the same siloed system, which is what people have to understand, is that all they're doing is taking this fiat garbage and digitizing it. So it's the same problem that we currently have. So, but people who don't really understand the space are gonna think that this whole digital currency that the central banks are creating are cryptos, and they don't realize there's a difference.
And that's our thing we were saying. It was a fundamental technological, like, I feel like, difference that he wasn't grasping. We should have asked if you read the white paper, so I'm sure he has, but that's my thing, and I agree. It's just, and I've seen it in chat. I've seen it now. I'm responding right now. Okay, so really quick, I keep seeing the environmental. We got the environmentalists in here. I'm glad the environmentalists are in here, so you know, and I can already tell you guys aren't even members. Feel free to not to watch. Like, we don't. If you're going to be as hollow as saying, well, you don't just care about the entire environment, you want to see us die, then, huh, man? Well, then, yeah, fuck it, I said, and I'll go cry. But if you want to have an actual conversation, the point about the environment in cryptos is, first of all, we get tired of talking about it because it's already been debunked. The environmental argument is coming from a study done on miners in China, and China uses coal for 75% of its electric grid. So they just assume the energy that all miners across the planet were using were coming from China, and they were using coal and not making any sense in destroying the environment. That's fucking stupid. For miners to make money, they want to reduce energy emissions. That way they can actually keep more of the Bitcoin instead of spending the Bitcoin on the actual energy. So that has been debunked. There is no environmental concern for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. But if there were an environmental concern for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, then yes, fuck it. We're trying to make an entire new financial system where you have the freedom to be your own bank. That is worth putting a hole in the environment. Is your TV worth it? No. Is your Christmas license, Bitcoin, as they say all the time, worth it? No. It's so many other things that are destroying the environment that's not worth it. So we don't care about the environment. Go tell your friend, go cry to them. You sound like a bitch anyway, to keep it all the way real. I like the people who talk environment all day, don't sound like you say in a weight room to me. So I'm really not even worried about you at all. But yes, no one cares about the environment, especially not until Flint gets their water fixed. When you have Nestle stealing the good water and selling it, in the local city, I was supposed to say civilians, the local city residents can't even have their own clean water in their backyard. Go fix that environmental problem and then come talk to me about holes in the ozone layer. Man, I didn't even go past biology, man. I got like a C in chem. I don't care about that shit.
And the truth is, they don't
hey,
want.
I'm just doing all that for the internet. Good content.
Well, the truth is, they don't want to fix that because it goes against their agenda.
Exactly. You know, but the agenda isn't Bitcoin in the environment, or, you know, the agenda isn't Flint water crisis for Americans, but it's Bitcoin and the, come on, like, for one, people who talk about the environment to me are projecting. I guarantee most people who talk about the environment, their lives aren't that great. Even if they look it probably isn't, because if you listen, who's living an amazing life every day worried about the ozone layer? Like, stop it. Stop it.
Exactly.
Stop it.
Hey,
and no, Gucci, this isn't King Henny. This is King Ducey today. Oh, I can't even say the word.
I always say, listen, follow the money and you will find out the truth. You'll find out the real agenda behind what's going on.
There it is. But like I said, I do agree with you. I think the interpretation of Bitcoin may be off because people aren't seeing the autonomy of it. That's what I was saying earlier when I was talking about the military thing. People are just thinking, oh, you military, they're just thinking America or big countries. Military is like, no, people, like, did you not watch Twitter when Egypt or whatever was overthrown? A couple of different countries over there with Gaddafi, probably backed by the CIA. We saw how happy Hillary was. But these things happen in real countries. Other people get together, they put their money together. Generals and admirals will literally switch sides, go to the other side, and they will develop a plan. A real coup will happen. Coups have happened. I'm not sure why people are like, what do you mean? You understand how young the United States is? So no, it is not very difficult, even in the United States, following the rules. It is not difficult to find a bunch of people who have a bunch of Bitcoin and actually have a lot of value and say, we're going to start a new political party and we're going to run for high offices, and no one's going to stop it unless they physically do something. That is not difficult. I don't think people understand that's what Bitcoin allows you to do. And last but not least, we're talking about it as a technology and tool, but we talk about military. I didn't even get a chance to bring this up, but it's like, even when you're talking military, like, are you going to fight with your fist while the other person has a gun? Like, a gun is a tool. Bitcoin is a tool. The internet is a tool. Zoom is a tool. Like, you're not going into these battles without tools. So that's my rant on it.
Well, and you just said, it's funny because at the end of what Isaiah and the doctor were saying about Kennedy and Dr. King, the reason why they were killed is the same reason, they'll spin it however they want about 9/11, et cetera, when it comes to Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi. But the real story is they were going against the dollar, creating their own system.
That's why gold back standard, right?
The same thing. And so, like you said, like, if people really know, like, when you look at Iran, the US had their jackals in place and put the Shah in. And we all know all of these criminal heads that the US will deem criminals at one time, they were our puppets. The minute you're no longer useful, now you're public enemy number one.
There it is. I'll end that on this. Reno Gamble said, I care about the environment, with quotes, with the Federal Reserve note in their pocket. Biggest funder of earth destruction is the Federal Reserve. That's what I mean. It's cognitive dissonance. And it's literally just projecting like what's in front of you. Like, yeah, you got an American dollar in your pocket. You shouldn't be talking about environment, people, like, straight up. All right. Hey, thanks for coming on, though, Michael, as always. Always appreciate the call with you. And of course, we'll check you out next time.
Take care, guys. I love your show, man.
Thank you. Thank you. And really quick shout out to Walter Beasley for the tips. A great debate on socialism, Bitcoin. I didn't get a chance to read all the tips today because in all the comments, because of course I didn't want to interrupt Dr. Bill or Zay when they were going on about their topics as well. So to those who did give us tips, I appreciate that. I'm trying to scroll up now to see some things. Shout out to Nappy Ways, said iron sharpens iron, good talk warriors. And shout out to Nappy Ways, and thank you for his service as well. Another Navy vet right there. We're definitely gonna still cover these last couple quick articles. Wanted to get to them because it's still some pretty big news. NFL to offer virtual NFT tickets at Super Bowl in Los Angeles. That is right. After launching commemorative virtual ticket NFTs in November of 2021, the NFL distributed over 250,000 NFTs as of mid-January. That's right. Not that you'll be able to afford it anyway, but if you're one of the lucky people who can, you can get one of these NFTs. The NFL announced officially on Wednesday that each fan who attends Super Bowl, which is 51 in Los Angeles on February 13th, will receive a unique, customized, non-fungible token. The NFT will feature the unique section, row, and seat to commemorate the game day and the Super Bowl's return to Los Angeles for the first time in about 30 years. I will say that's actually pretty cool because until now, if you're anything like me, you probably have like a shadow box or a memory box with all your old movie tickets and sporting event tickets and all the cool stuff that you keep in there that you like to remember. But how often do we go in those boxes? Or I know some people actually hang them up in their rooms and different type of stuff, but how often do you actually see it? Whereas if you had, I mean, of course, this is all about showboating too. Like, let's not get it twisted. This is all about styling on other people. But what better way to do it than have an NFT of your ticket to the game? I mean, you just talk about social proof that people love to have out there. You throw this on your Instagram profile account, Twitter account or something where they're allowing you to put NFTs, or you just put a picture of it up. People are going to go crazy. Oh, you went to the Super Bowl, you got an NFT of it. It is a pretty novel idea, I think, for the NFL. And then, of course, for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as a whole is definitely a base hit because more people get to find out about NFTs, and then from there they get to find out about cryptocurrency, and then hopefully from there they get to find out about our Lord and Savior Bitcoin. And of course, I'm just joking when I say that. But here's that NFT. Okay, looking pretty interesting. Not worth the ticket price, but hey, like I said, you get to show that you actually went to the Super Bowl with the NFT. So it's cool to see, right? Everyone's trying to do a little bit of something in the market. And of course, we know NFT stimulus package is the newest thing right now. So it was pretty cool to see the NFL hop on board and try it as well. And it's actually a good thing because it shows the NFL is aware of cryptocurrency. It shows they're in tune to what's going on. They know Odell Beckham Jr. has been getting paid. Of course, a couple other players. I can't think of the biggest one who started a couple years ago. But this means the NFL is moving forward to adopting it possibly, which would be crazy. You're talking about mainstream adoption and institutions. The NFL is one of the highest grossing businesses in the United States. If they were to actually say, you know, we do want to pay our players in specifically Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency for that matter, let's say they partnered with a crypto project, like all of that would be crazy. Again, it may be wishful thinking because as they start to broach into this businesses of this magnitude, they deal with the government, of course, NFL. I mean, they literally have like the FBI help them on investigations and stuff. I think this would be the organization that will push the government to say, okay, are we going to do a CBDC or are we going to do a stable or are we going to do an altcoin? Will it be Bitcoin? What's going to be the thing? And then the NFL will follow suit with that. So it will be interesting to see. Nappy Way said that Super Bowl NFT is an example of the cotillion effect. Most rich people will have a chance to get richer with that NFT. Dr. Ball could use that one, LOL. I don't know, only because I'm not sure how much they'll be worth, right? Maybe just some collectors of NFL, I guess in the NFL market, but I'm not sure. That might be one of the NFTs that sees a very low floor price right after it's launched. I don't know how much it will actually be worth or whatever. Let's see. Oh, Kadeem in there. Somebody, Coco's getting called a troll because your response, you specify how bad it was for the environment and you say capitalism. Like, come on, you know you can do better. You're right. Yeah. I would say it was trollish behavior too, but I honestly can't tell if it's just noobs or they're actually trolling, but you're right. That's why I had to go off on that tangent and joke about the environment, because it's like, come on, folks. Like, we're still talking about this environment thing. And last but not least, got to talk about Yo Gotti, the rapper. So, you know what? I'm mad we didn't get to this story. We'll try to cover it maybe one more time on Monday. But Yo Gotti's new mixtape, it's either a mixtape or a CD drop, Cocaine Music 10 or whatever, chapter 10. But he actually has a song, Crypto. Now, we wanted to talk about this because it actually has a pretty interesting story. Bitcoins, they would tell you the story better, but long story short, this is what happened. So what happened? Let me get my drink together. Let me take a little sip of this. For those who stayed to the end, you'll enjoy the story. LA, I don't know, Wednesday, Thursday night or something. I think I was actually trying to go out. I called Zay up. I don't know. He's at his place, sleep or something. I don't know. So I'm just like, whatever. We're not doing nothing tonight, right? I'm saying I'm about to call it a night. I decided to go to bed around 10 or 11 o'clock. This guy calls me up at like 12:15 or something, 12:20. I miss it, but he's texting me like, hey, we about to go to the club. Yo Gotti gonna be there. We're getting a table either with him or next to him. We're gonna get a table next to him, like pull up, da-da-da. I'm asleep, so I wake up mad, like, bro, I call you, I don't think you picked up or you're tired, then you call me all late. Like, what's going on? You're making me miss the club. Essentially, it was some big event in LA. I forgot what week it was. It might have been like Fashion Week or something. I can't remember, but it was some big event. Yo Gotti had some type of release or something going on. He was at the club. Zay went too. Little did I know beforehand there were meetings going on where Zay's working with some people out here with some NFTs and other type of crypto stuff. And he's actually sitting on the same board of a NFT project as Yo Gotti. So through that board, of course, everyone met everybody, all that type of stuff. All the glad handling happened behind the scenes. And then move forward months from that. I think that was about, I think he said 6 months ago or so now. 3 to 6 months ago, he actually has a song out called Crypto, where he's like actually talking about you know, some gangsters in crypto, and we got the you know, what did he say? What else? He say something about we having discussions about metaverses and NFTs. And Zay's like, bro, like that literally was the talk. I gave him the whole discussion on metaverse, NFTs, and everything. So it's crazy to see this song's actually out, and it's called Yo Gotti. It's Crypto by Yo Gotti. But shout out to him. Again, another base hit for adoption. because he does have a, he does have a platform. He does have people who watch him, younger people as well. And that's what we always talk about when it comes to adopting this technology. It's like, whether you like it or not, whether you want to be on board or not, he got an audience of 16-year-olds as well as 30 and 40 something years old. So literally he has this wide net of audience from different ages, different genders. And from hearing this song, I'm guarantee you something will be like, damn, I keep hearing about crypto. And this guy is in the same song talking about $20 million in taxes he had to pay with NFTs, metaverses, and it's still real people in crypto. I think that will draw more people to it, especially from the inner city, especially coming off a conversation like, why aren't there more Black people in crypto? Boom, there you go. You got a certified rapper talking about crypto. I think it will have more minorities actually come toward it just from stuff like this than we could at all, being on every day, actually talking about the beauty and the gospel of what Bitcoin has to offer. So shout out to Yo Gotti in that crypto song. It's pretty cool to see. Let's see, last few comments of the day really quick. Yeah, Drake the Great, Money Man. Yeah, Money Man has done some crypto songs too, blockchain songs, so shout out to him as well. I have seen some of those songs also. But what I will say is, hey, that Yo Gotti's crypto song a hit though. Like Money Man, he has some really good crypto songs. But that Yo Gotti song a hit. So when you can make a hit with crypto, like that's something to be spoken as well. Crypto Rasputin said environmental issues are real, but addressable. Solar flare, and I'm with the people. But here's the thing. Again, I go back to I grew up in Detroit. We got the big 3 auto factories. Like this, if you've ever been to Detroit, the sky is gray like 90% of the time. Like throughout the year, is gray skies, and it's from the pollution. I grew up literally watching factories just pour out smoke in every direction. But my point is also, we did that for cars. We can do that for our economic system. Is bottom line. If we did it for cars, and we did do it, and we still do it for cars, the sky's still great. If anybody been to Detroit, in the chat, if you've been to Detroit, tell them if I'm lying or not. Like seriously, it's a gray sky 24/7. Like it's gloomy. Like that's probably why it has to do with so much stuff. It probably has to do with so much depression and crime and everything. It's gloomy and gray because it's just car factories pumping pollution. So for sure, they are real. I agree with it, and I do think they should be addressed as well. My thing is, when we're talking about a global economic system, is not the time for environmental talk, unless it is literally like, no, bro, like the movie Look Up is like, look up, there is a literal hole being burned in the sky in front of you. Like, yeah, if we're getting to that point, was like, bro, you don't feel that? Like it's like 15 degrees hotter like today. Like, all right, I got it. It's going to, but that's not what's happening right now. We know that. It's just FUD. Let's see, Leroy Forbes, what's going on? Said you gotta get a clip of Tyler the Creator saying, "Are you dumb?" on the soundboard. All right, I will clip that and put it on the list right now. Throughout the show, I was putting all the new ones on the list. I'm gonna put the Street Fighter fight one on there, and I'm going to do, I forgot the other one. I wrote down another one. So we'll have, And Is Gone. We'll have And Is Gone on there, hopefully by next week as well. All right, yeah, Fatima Boyce, I remember seeing Zay post it with Yo Gotti, post with Yo Gotti, right. It was crazy, invite Money Man on the show. Listen, as you all can tell, as we've said, like anybody is invited on the show, especially like specifically to talk Bitcoin and crypto. Let me stop, because some people email like, hey, you said anybody, come on, I got these Pampers for sale. I'm like, come on, stop it, for cryptocurrency purposes. So yeah, we'd love to have Money Man. Not sure really how to reach out to him. I can try, but if you all could reach out, that'd be cool too. Tell him we love to have him on the show. We heard his songs, and let's do it. Reggie Middleton, shout out to Reggie Middleton. I gave you an email, I believe yesterday or earlier today, Reggie, to get you back on the show as well. Let's see. Joshua Ingram said Dr. King called for socialism, and we ain't here lying on his name. Real clown behavior. For one, like, this is why I love, like, Joshua, the link is up top if you want to call in, Joshua Ingram. You don't have to chat and message me to that. Clearly, I got time. It's 8:51 a.m. I'm drinking some Douce. All I'm going to do is take a nap, wake up, do some auditions, get on some crypto stuff we got going on the back end. But feel free to call into the live stream right now, Joshua Ingram, because what I consider real clown behavior is all the information I was passed today, good, bad, or ugly, the positive discourse we had with the professor, and then Zay and all his stuff that he has going on. Everyone was able to share their views. Some agreed, some disagreed, but I think we educated each other in general. So I don't think any of that was real clown behavior. And to keep it real, Martin Luther King, a lot of stuff behind the scenes people don't know about too. So like I wasn't alive when he was alive, neither were you. You don't know him. A, and then B, if you really want to start throwing names around, like again, water run deep. My family's from Detroit. I grew up not Muslim, but my grandfather and my mother once were Muslim. I think my grandfather still is. And they actually helped the whole Malcolm X start a mosque and everything in Detroit. Water run real deep. So let's start with the clownish behavior, or unless you want to come on live, which is why I'm over here trying to reel him in to this deep water, because you think you know, but you really don't. Let's see. All right, let me look at a couple of last comments. Kadeem said, it's crazy because Bitcoin to me was the best representation of owning your means of production, literally the core socialist messages. Yep. Let's see. John H said Black Wall Street was bomb. It really was. Imagine they had money to buy helicopters and anti-air defense missiles, though. Let's see. Reggie Middleton said, did the socialist dude make any valid points? To some people, for sure, he definitely has his audience here as well. They agree with some of the things he's saying. We disagreed a bit, but you definitely got to go back and check it out. It's pretty cool. All right, let's see. I'm looking for the last bits. Again, for all those who sent the tips today, much appreciated. I did see them. I wish I could shout you all out, but again, the conversation was flowing. I didn't want to interrupt it any more than what was already going on back and forth, so I let that go. All right, other than that, that is the show for today. It looks like we don't have nobody else. Like I said, the link's been there. If there's any last minute smoke, feel free to call. I'm on that, off that whiskey and feeling frisky. Is that how it goes? No, I don't know how it goes. I'm just talking right now. All right, I guess that's it. Now nobody's calling in. I'm getting the last few comments. As always, make sure you smash that like and share. A couple things that will be upcoming. We're going to be adding a calendar to the website. We've already updated the website as well. So you want to go check out some of those blog articles there. Still have the Cliff High notes on there as well. Masterclass, of course. If you haven't got the masterclass, check it out. But we'll also be adding a calendar. We'll be having more shows, not just of ourselves, but other contributors will be coming on to the Gentlemen of Crypto, and they'll be branching out, creating their own shows. So the calendar will have everyone's show schedule on there. So as new people come on the show, you'll know if you want to watch this person, say Alec, who's doing a new GameFi breakdown, you know to watch them on Saturday at 3 or whatever. We'll have that calendar online. And I think we're going to try to share it publicly as well. That way you can save the events to your own calendar as well. So the No Name Show, essentially what's been going on there, we may switch the No Name Show to one specific project. It would be a Bitcoin project, so you kind of probably already have an idea what it is, but we're just waiting to figure out some of the business stuff on the back end. In the next week or two, hopefully we will have a full idea of the No Name Show, if it's happening or not. But if it doesn't, if we don't do the No Name Show, we'll be replacing it with something else. If this something else doesn't happen, then we'll be going back to the No Name and creating from there. Other than that, again, be on the lookout for new membership stuff coming around February 22nd to 24th. We will be reopening the Discord, trying to get some folks over who like to do TA and all that stuff. I know some people do like the trading aspect and the TA aspect. I do not do that any longer, but we do want to get some good professionals over here. So like I said, we're building up and building out a lot of stuff for people who are who want to spend more time in this industry or just in their own personal portfolios. We'll be having those resources for you. Other than that, smash that like and share. Happy Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Don't think about the environment too much and buy more Bitcoin. Let me see. Let's end it right here.